Good evening, friends. On behalf of the Ahmedabad Management Association and also on behalf of the All India Management Association, because this is an event organized jointly, I welcome you all to the special program commemorating the National Management Day, which was actually yesterday. That's the founding day of the All India Management Association, which is our apex body. And we have two highly accomplished gentlemen with us who will be talking. Mr. Rajiv Vastupal, many of you know he's a past president of AMA, also a past president of IMA. And we have Mr. Piyush Sharma from the IIM Ahmedabad, and he will be talking on a very interesting topic. And I don't want to say much, but it's my duty to introduce both these gentlemen before they deliver their address. As I mentioned, Rajiv Vastupal is a past president of AMA. He was also the past president of All India Management Association, and he continues to be associated with IMA. Other than that, as a businessman, he is the group chairman and MD of the Rajiv Petrochemicals Private Limited, flagship company of the group Team Rajiv, which was formed in the year 1980. They are involved in various business, electricals, polymers, and so on, but I will not go into all those details. He is also the immediate past chairman of FICCI Gujarat State Council and has served on the board of governors of the Indian Institute of Management Udaipur, Indian Institute of Management Bangalore, and Indian Institute of Management Rohtak. And another important contribution by Mr. Vastupal after he was, while he was and after he was the president of AMA, is this generous endowment from the trust he had, that is the JB Trust, the Jamunabai Bagubai Trust, which runs a homeopathic clinic providing treatment at a very nominal cost. They also provide physiotherapy, and this is over 116 years old trust. And through this endowment, we could make the JB Auditorium, which is a very well-known facility at AMA and a good facility of Ahmedabad. So it's a pleasure to welcome you, Rajiv Bhai.
Thank you very much. We made a optometry college also for Blind People Association, donated 2 crore.
Great. And then we have today a very interesting speaker, Mr. Piyush Sharma. He is the founding head at the Center of Leadership at IIM Ahmedabad, member of the Global Insights panel at MIT and Stanford Seed Consultant. He is a global CEO coach and a C-suite and a startup advisor. Piyush has had multiple public listed multi-billion-dollar firms and now sits on the boards of global companies in Silicon Valley and Europe. He is an awarded, top-rated global business leader, celebrated speaker, and a top influencer. Yes, he has a very interesting topic, managing the unprecedented, harnessing the uncertainty. It's a wonderful, and as I'll mention in this his CV, he has spoken exclusively on different topics. He is a member on the board of IIT Delhi for Technology Business Incubation Unit. Besides being a star mentor of change at the Niti Aayog and a member of the mentor board at the Ashoka University. Piyush is a member of the AI Guild Germany and advisory board member in various reputed organizations. Piyush has been the India Senator of the World Business Angel Investment Forum, an affiliated partner of the G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion. Piyush's first book is to be scheduled to be out in 2023. He and Marshall Goldsmith have delivered Leadership Thinking Nuggets, a series in Fortune magazine. He has a large list of publications on articles on various topics, mainly on leadership, on coaching, on IT, sustainability, digital economy, and related topics. You can see some of the TEDx talks, and once you see his profile in the social media, you will get access to all his talks. And he's an international keynote speaker, and his work as a certified meditation and a yoga coach, and as a master storyteller, facilitates transformational leadership, and capability building. It's a pleasure to have Mr. Piyush Sharma with us today, and I don't want to waste further time. First of all, I'll welcome him. So, without wasting any further time, I'll request Rajiv bhai to deliver his talk. Thank you.
Good evening. It was wonderful to meet Amber Bhai, Dr. Manish, Pradeep, and friends here. After a very long time, I am on a dais on AMA. I think its age is. Thank you, my friend Dikshit. IMA is celebrating Annual Management Day on 21st February every year. In continuation of celebration, all local management associations are advised to celebrate the next day, that is on 22nd. A small address, as well as, the recent happening in the world. Subject could be disruption, and introducing what is IMA doing. And I would urge everybody to become and join IMA as a member. You can become a member through AMA. Yesterday at New Delhi, IMA has celebrated National Management Day with the awards, which are very, very eminent awards. IMA JRD Tata Awards for the Corporate Leadership was presented to TV Narendran, who is CEO and Managing Director of Tata Steels Limited, who has outperformed in the world for the steel industries in last 2 years crisis. And he has put steel industries on a very higher map, Tata Steels. Tata Steels basically was a very, very strong company, but they had ups and downs, but last 2 years they have really strengthened their foundation. The second award was IMA Lifetime Achievement Award for the management, was presented to Mr. Narayan Murthy, founder of Infosys, who is a founder of ethics also in his companies, and many companies has followed the ethics, and he is really ethics manager according to all of us. IMA Public Service Excellence Award was presented to Dilip Apse, MD and CEO of NPCI, and Bankar Roy, Indian social activist and educator, founder and of the Barefoot College. There are other awards like Dr. Ram Tarneja Awards. Ram Tarneja was the Managing Director of Times of India earlier, and who was also a President of All India Management Association. In his memory, he has declared an award of Ram Tarneja Award for the best article in any business, Indian management magazine basically. Because people read a lot of articles, but it is never appreciated publicly or by any association. So he thought that any good article which gives a real good education or good take-home value should be awarded. And that was invented by him, and it is started traditionally, and it is given on this management day. And Dr. J.S. Juneja, who is also was past president of All India Management Association, who is an award for creativity, innovation in micro, small and medium enterprise, was given to various dignitaries there. The All India Management Association, IMA, is a national apex body of the management profession in India. IMA is not for the profit, non-lobbying organization working closely with industries, government, academia, students to the further cause of management profession in India. See, FICCI and CAI, SOCHM, those are lobbying organization. And having non-lobbying institute like Management Association to remain and grow very big in Delhi is a difficult thing. But it was a purely management movement, and it has really done wonders. On 21st February 1957, 15 management association, including Ahmedabad Management Association, came together to constitute All India Management Association, the national forum for the promotion of management in India. Since then, this date has been celebrated as IMA's Foundation Day. In 2006, IMA celebrated its Golden Jubilee with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the then President of India, on its Foundation Day in 2006, February 21st, was declared as a National Management Day by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, which is celebrated every year by IMA network of 67 local management associations all over the country. You won't believe there are 15 management associations in Kerala. We have in Gujarat also, there are around 5 or 6 management associations, which is in Gandhidham, which is in Surat, Baroda, and Rajkot also, Navsari also. Navsari had gone there, yes. So it is spreading its wing everywhere, and the occasion also marks the presentation of IMA Award of Excellence. That's what I mentioned earlier, that IMA Lifetime Achievement Award, JRD Tata Corporate and Public Service Commission Award. Over past 60 years, IMA has evolved as times have changed and catered to the growing needs of today's management community. IMA has contributed immensely to the enhancement of the management capability in the country over the years. IMA offers various services in distance areas of testing, distance education, skill development, training, research, publication, executive education, and management development programs. IMA also brings to Indian manager the best management practices, technique through numerous foreign collaborations with professional bodies and institutions like INSEAD or St. Gallen universities, where I visited when I was IMA president. IMA is also important and long distance member for Asian Association of Management Association, which is called AMO, which promotes professional management in Asian Pacific region. You must have seen management footprint also globally, where more than 12 large global companies have Indian CEOs. Take it as a Alphabet, Google, LinkedIn, YouTube, and many, many more. They have Indian CEOs, and they learn management from next door IIMA, most of them, or IIM Bangalore or IIM Calcutta. Managing the unprecedented harnessing uncertainty is the subject of today. The recent spate of crisis and changes has challenged the upset in many of the conventional management dogmas and practices. The disturbance experience of COVID pandemic, global lockdown, and geopolitical eruption like Ukraine-Russia war has forced management leaders to factor in the unprecedented and unpredictable event and even unthinkable also. The precedent and shape-lifting uncertainty is now part of routine business strategy that and methods makes room for the radical adjustment. In this time of the great uncertainty, it is difficult to formulate strategy for a very long term. So, strategy A, strategy B, strategy C, strategy D. I mean, everything has to be ready. Leaders can't draw on the experience to address development no one has ever seen before. Yet the decisions they make now could have been ramification of the years to come. Also, playing defense can be losing strategy in the environment and organization and may be better off attacking the situation with agility and innovation. Management leaders need to figure out how to harness the uncertainty to achieve the organization objectives and build new competitive advantage. By embracing uncertainty, leaders become energized and agile, reclaiming their power and serving as an example of colleagues and peers. Being able to move confidently through uncertainty, responding to ambiguity with adaptability will always be a winning skill since our world is constantly changing. IMA structure, I would like just tell you what is the structure of IMA. IMA has a president which changes every year. At the moment, Mr. Srinivas Dempo, who is the chairman of Dempo Group of Companies, Goa, is the president. Senior Vice President is Mr. Nikhil Sahani. He is Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Triveni Turbines and Triveni Sugar also, which is one of the very largest turbine company in India. Vice President is Sunita Reddy. She is the youngest daughter of Dr. Pratap Reddy from Apollo Hospital, Managing Director of Apollo Hospital Group. And Treasurer is Mr. P. Dwarkadas, who is a former chairman of GSK, Consumer Healthcare, Glaxo. And immediate past president is also a first generation entrepreneur like me, C.K. Ranganathan, CMD of Kevin Care Private Limited, who has introduced a sachet in a shampoo. You know, one-time use shampoo he has invented. And then after COVID time, if you would have flied in Indigo or any other airline, they used to give a small sachet for, you know, that liquid which is, you know, saving you from the infection. Interestingly, IMA conducts management aptitude test. Main source of IMA's income is the various programs, various speakers and various events. But apart from that, the highest income what IMA earn is by conducting a very efficient aptitude test called MAT, used by all over 600 business schools across India. Other tests conducted include the research management aptitude test called RMAT, undergraduate aptitude test called UG-AMAT, accreditation management teachers AMT certification, and other customized courses. IMA is also represented on various national bodies, organization including National Board of Accreditation like NBA, Bureau of Indian Standard, BIS, Board of Governors of various Indian Institute of Management, most importantly AMO also. And like I had experience to be on a Board of Governors under chairmanship of Mukesh Ambani of IIM Bangalore for 3 years, 3 years for IIM Udaipur under Pankaj Patel's chairmanship, and IIM Rohtak also in the beginning. Now, AMO is a very interesting association. IMA has it. AMO is a partnership national management organization, NMO, in Asian region, whose purpose is to share and actively leverage the resources. We give it to Malaysia, Malaysia give it to Indonesia to enhance the achievement of their respective missions. AMO is independent, non-political, non-profit association and NMO which promotes facilities and support and development of professional management in Asia Pacific region. Like IMA was lucky to call airport manager of Singapore Airline or a managing director of a Singapore airline, and how disciplined Singapore Airline works, and constantly it is remaining number one. Emirates is also very good that way, but Singapore is also very, very equally efficient airline all over the world. The current 10 countries of AMO includes Australia, Hong Kong, India, Macau, Malaysia, Nepal, New Zealand, Pakistan, Philippines and Sri Lanka. In fact, when I was president of All India Management Association, I had signed a MOU at Karachi with Pakistan Management Association, and still it is working, whatever political differences are going on, but at least management associations are working closer with each other. And it facilitates sharing resources, knowledge, regional information in support today's interconnected management world and demand for ready access to up-to-date management information and thinkings and views. It organizes and conducts specific non-competitive management programs supported by NMOs, and with this presence of AMO adds international dimension to activities and image of NMOs. As I mentioned, I was duly lucky that I was in 2005 to 7, I was heading AMA, and then after I graduated to IMA president, and I think very few people have experience of both the kind of management, like local management association and national management association. And I would be nominated next year maybe for the AMOS chair also. And it's a great experience. With this experience, I would request our eminent speaker, Mr. Piyush Sharma, who's from IIM, on the current subject to give his views. Piyush, please come.
Just a few more seconds. Thank you for bearing with me. And Ahmedabad Management Association, thanks very much for inviting me. Divyesh bhai, Rajiv bhai, of course I also met a couple of you here. So really looking forward to this interaction. I am not from Ahmedabad, so my Gujarati is not at all good. My English is also not my native language, but I try and put my best foot forward. So thank you for bearing with me. The topic of the day, as we know, is, as we were discussing earlier, the flavor of the season. So friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, very, very happy to be here, very excited. I would try and restrict it to about 25 odd minutes, hopefully having another, I don't know, 15-20 minutes to our disposal to have a good interaction. And I have organized the session today across 5 issues that I think are very important that I wish to speak about. But before we get there, welcome to the world of 2023. I think if you look at charting the global decline in consumer confidence in 9 major economies, global consumers are becoming pessimistic. Okay, so that's a message which is very loud and clear. There is rising inflation, there is high interest rates, there is the threat of a looming recession, and there are layoffs in major sectors. So the likelihood of a global major stock markets crash is something that almost all the respondents across the world are acknowledging seems like something in the offing. America's 20 biggest technology layoffs since 2020 includes the cohort of the who's who of the world. That includes Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, you name them, Microsoft, right? So yes, coming back, first and foremost, even before I begin with what I have in mind, I wish to ask the group out here today, what do you think, how long have human beings been on planet Earth? Any clue, anyone? We the human beings, how long have we been on planet Earth? We know that the universe, as we understand it, is currently estimated to be about 14.5 billion years old. We know that the Earth is supposed to be 4.5 billion years old, but we the human beings, how long have we been on planet Earth? Any guesses? A few million years you said, all right, great. Anyone who wishes to hazard a guess?
If we consider ice age, then roughly 12,000, after 12,000.
So 12,000 years to a few million years, that's how much we could be off, and that's an insight into the kind of uncertainty that exists in the world. So as things stand today, so this query, if I would have had about 18 months ago, the world would have told us, and the recorded scientific evidence would have told us, that we the human beings have been on planet Earth for about 160 to 170,000 years. But as we understand today, this figure went back by about 30,000 to 40,000 years, and it is now estimated to be anywhere between 200,000 to 250,000 years. All right. We the modern humans appeared on planet Earth about 50,000 years ago. But picking up from what you said, sir, from the time that we've been there 200,000 years ago on the timeline to 12,500 years ago, man was a hunter-gatherer. All right, that's how we lived our lives. And then something happened. Something happened which changed the course of history. Any clue, any guesses, anyone? So fire and wheel are not the correct answer. They were very, very important discoveries and inventions in their own right. But what we are talking about here is something very different. I heard something. Yes, absolutely bang on. So 12,500 years ago is when human beings stumble upon agriculture, and that changes the course of human history. How? We the human beings start settling down in colonies, right? We do not any longer in the entire food chain, in the animal kingdom, We do not any longer have to worry about the meal, the next meal, and what we would be doing, because we could now have our meals kind of grown and managed. With me till here? From 12,500 years ago till 250 years ago. So agriculture became the primary means of commerce. All right, and there was something called the barter system. I gave 2 kgs of rice और मैंने 2 किलो चीनी ले ली या कुछ और ले लिया, and currency probably in the form that we see today did not exist. 250 years ago, something once again happens that changes the course of human history in a manner of what economists would call as a hockey stick effect. Once again, any guesses? Absolutely bang on. So that was easier. Industrialization took us to a level where manufacturing, industry and automation over the course of next 200 to 250 years would de-link the power to produce of the humans from muscle power to that of a machine, right? So we understood that from cultivation and extraction, which in the age of agriculture were the primary means of production, we have reached a stage where manufacturing, industry and automation rule the roost as far as the 19th and 20th century are concerned. And come the 21st century and let's say the last about half of the 20th century, we have something where we have graduated into a new age called the internet, yes, but information age as they call it, right, where they are talking about the power of idea and human potential as being the age where anything that you've got out here could possibly be translated into big money. So what we are talking about is from cultivation and extraction as primary means to industry, manufacturing and automation to a situation of computing power and human potential. It is not your father's globalization anymore, because what really jumps out from the findings is that while the manufacturing and trade networks took something like 500 to 600 years to become kind of ubiquitous, here is a situation where the data flows that started emerging no more than 15 to 20 years ago have today gone on to become ubiquitous. So yes, we have a situation where we are witnessing a dawn of a new age. A dawn of a new age where they are talking about something called the point of singularity, where we, the Homo sapiens, may assume a totally new identity as a species, where we may end up becoming what they are calling as cyborgs, which means man marries machine. But we will not get into science fiction, we have something important to do here. So I think most of you guys may have seen that video. I have also called these 2 gentlemen to our party. Who are they? Anyone? So Tim Cook I see on my right? Tim Cook to my right? To your left, absolutely bang on. So that was a trick question. Okay, so Tim Cook all of us recognize, but this gentleman over here, anyone? Bang on. Who said that? Steve Ballmer is the correct answer, yes. Who said that? Yeah, Steve Ballmer is the correct answer, but who's Steve Ballmer? Absolutely. So what's the big deal about him and why is he here today? So let's understand, and you're going to be now finding a big fanboy of Steve Ballmer here, because 1975 is the year when this company gets started by this gentleman called Bill Gates, which goes on to become the most dominant, the most iconic, the biggest technology player of the 20th century. He redefines, the company goes on to redefine everything, so much so that in the late 1990s, this company runs into all kinds of troubles in a similar way as Facebook today runs into with Mark Zuckerberg, which means you have cases of monopoly, you have cases of antitrust, all kinds of cases filed against him. And so in the year 1999, Bill Gates steps aside and brings in a professional CEO. This is one of the rare cases in corporate global history that a professional CEO who comes on to run a company goes on to redefine the contours of a company in a manner where he goes on to become the world's top 20 richest people. Even today, he is one of the top 20 richest billionaires in the world. This is about 7-8 years after he is retired, and all of us who either are aspiring to become or have been CEOs would know that we are as good as our last quarter's performance. So this guy over the next 15 to 16 years goes on to play supreme shots so that quarter after quarter he delivers a tremendous stellar performance, and that is why you have a fanboy of Steve Ballmer here. Does anyone have any other alternative views to offer as far as Steve Ballmer is concerned? A quick case study is what I am trying to do here. Steve Ballmer, anyone, any conflicting views, any different views, any additional views that you may have? Anyone? All right. So enough of eulogizing about Steve Ballmer. I think Steve Ballmer needs to be blamed for the 5 biggest errors that after being the most dominant technology player of the world, you could not have afforded to do. The year 1999, when Bill Gates hands over the reins of the company to Steve Ballmer, you have a situation where 99% of the world accesses the internet through desktops. 95% of all desktops have a default operating system called Internet Explorer, and Windows rules the roost. Fast forward to today, you have 5 big technology trends that happen over the next 10 years from 1999 onwards. The business of search, which goes to our friends at Google. The business of mobile telephony, where an Apple and a Samsung run away with it between 2005 to 2007 when they shipped their first phones. And the business of mobile operating systems, which means iOS and Android, and there is no Microsoft to be seen. And what is the situation today? 4 billion of us are connected on the internet out of 8 billion. 99% of us access the internet through the route of mobiles, and Microsoft is nowhere to be seen. The big business of media, which Amazon and Apple, Netflix and Apple run away with, and finally the business of computing, in which to begin with Amazon Web Services, AWS, and subsequently everybody else has got into and boarded that bandwagon. So what is it that I am trying to say here? The point that I am trying to make is you cannot be the CEO of the most dominant technology player of the day and miss out on the 5 biggest technology trends that exist. Comes Satya Nadella the year 2014-15 and he redefines everything and redefines the business of Microsoft from being at a point in time struggling as a products company. Windows was their only product, to trying to figure out their way as a services company, ads, clouds, music. So from a products and services company, the redefinition and reincarnation of Microsoft into a platform company for a mobile first and a cloud first world is what is to the credit of Satya Nadella, and naturally what you have seen is the stocks of Microsoft go up, up and away. And for your information, I have translated that into Indian rupees. 1600 crores till about 3 years ago was the annual compensation of Satya Nadella. 1600 crores a year as a professional CEO for the kind of tremendous job that he's done, right? The point that I'm trying to make is that you can be giants and you can become pygmies, and you could be pygmies who do not exist. People like Google who go on to become giants. Why? Because there is something called uncertainty. So this is a KPMG survey. How is the world today being reshaped? And KPMG says 3 years, the coming 3 years is greater than the last 50 years. This is what 72% of the CEOs believe in terms of the kind of VUCA world that we are witnessing. What is VUCA, anyone? Yes, volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity, the new world that we've inherited. So we as leaders must accept the fact that future will be mediated by technology, and how we respond could determine whether or not our organizations, our lives will win. So the first point that I have tried to make is that at a point in time, there existed a guy called Copernicus, who for the first time, we looked at the timeline of human history and we said from 200,000 years to 12,000 years ago to 250 years ago to even today, one of the most dominant worldviews of the world has been that of religion, which means Copernicus, when 300 BC, he said it is not a geocentric view of the world, where the earth is at the center of the universe, it is a heliocentric view of the world. The sun is at the center of our galaxy, right? He was banished. And so was a guy called Galileo Galilei in 1692, when he used his telescope to prove that, look guys, Copernicus was right in China, and this is what it is, earth is not the center of the universe. He was also put behind bars and was sentenced to death till he apologized with folded hands. It is another matter that 300 years later, 1992, Pope John Paul II apologizes posthumously to Galileo Galilei that science was right, that yes, you guys were right, earth is not the center of the universe. The point that I am trying to make is that we saw a worldview which was a religion-centric worldview, which even today it continues to be in several parts of the world, including in our own country for that matter. And for the 250 years, science kind of challenged that worldview. The new worldview that you have, guys, is a view of technology. Nothing that you do, nothing that anyone does, the common man on the street, nothing that we do is not affected by technology. 150, 500 times do we look at these little devices that we have on our hands, we look at this, we do this, we do this, we do that, everything is impacted by technology, right? So this is one of the forces that is upending the future, that is contributing to that thing called uncertainty. My intent is to figure out the next four. I know we have less time at our disposal. दिव्येश भाई just mentioned to me when we were sitting on the stage कि almost एक साल हो गया देखिए यूक्रेन वॉर को. You are absolutely right. And you know what Ukraine is? It's a pygmy. It's a little small place with this little infrastructure that they have as far as their warfare is concerned, right? No comparison at all. And these guys, जैसे सूर्य को दिया दिखाने वाली बात है, उस तरह से they are trying to fight it out and happily succeeding and will continue to hold it out for as long as it is needed. Which means this war highlights how geopolitical uncertainty can actually upend supply chains, weaponize trade, and more precisely, the war can lead to a situation of trade sanctions, of food crisis, of energy shortages, and of what have you. So how does the geopolitical uncertainty differ for economies around the world, right? These are research statistics. You're seeing China's dominance in clean energy materials, right? Unemployment forecast by country in 2023. So greater interdependence through mutually reinforcing economic growth and development is what is the order of the day, and increasing geopolitical uncertainty is weighing on the broad economic outlook and international trade relationships that you have. What does this lead to? Trade disputes, unfair trade barriers, civil unrest, catastrophic impact on a business's bottom line. So anything can happen. This is the new reality. You cannot wish it away. You could be a Google and you could be thrown out of a China in 2010. You could be TikTok, the next challenger to a Facebook, and from a country called India, which is your largest market, you could be thrown out on the whim and fancy of a signature, because the ruling government decides that this is not a good geopolitically unrisky strategy or safe strategy, right? So the second thing that all of us as leaders need to take into consideration in studying and understanding how our world is being reshaped is this geopolitical uncertainty that rules the roost. So what is the third one? So my son started working about 18 months ago. He came back from Canada. He did his economics liberal arts program. Unfortunately, he passed out in the COVID year and he was not able to land up a good opportunity over there. So he relocated to India and he got this big offer as to work with Cisco. For the next 18 months, this guy never saw what is Cisco, what is Bangalore, what is the office, not even in Gurgaon. He was living with us, happily living with us. मैंने आज सुबह एक मैसेज भेजा, मैंने कहा पार्थ अगर तुम्हारे पास कुछ 8-10 तुम्हारी वर्क फ्रॉम होम की फोटोज हो तो देना, मेरा आज शाम को एक कीनोट है, आई वुड लाइक टू यूज इट. Well, those photos you and I both will be embarrassed because those are the happiest photos that you could have. After working 25-30 long years, I have never had that kind of a work environment where you have nothing to do from 10 o'clock. I mean, you have all the things to do, you're busy the whole day, but you do it at your own pace. So what we are talking about is leaders being presented with an opportunity to reimagine the inner workings of a company. You have to have a sense to create an inspiring work environment and invest in retraining, reskilling, understanding the millennials as they exist. Can we nurture employee human well-being? Can we create a sense of connectedness and resilience, right? Are we in a position to create an environment for career progression through learning, through coaching, and through opportunities? This is the new world. So I started my career way back in 1993, qualified MBA, सीधा simple life थी, name, fame, money, 3 चीजें चाहिए, खटाखट हर 2-4 साल में जहाँ से better offer मिला, I went there. I hope almost 80% of you guys can get my Hindi, if not all of you. और गुजराती मुझे आती नहीं तो मैं nuanced गुजराती अवश्य इस्तेमाल करता, तो so please bear with me. All right? कुछ नहीं चाहिए था लाइफ में. 24-25 साल, God was kind. I was fortunate to land up some of these opportunities to man the C-suite, these multi-billion-dollar public limited organizations. Some 13 odd years that I spent in corner offices, quarter after quarter, doing the same thing. थोड़ा और bottom line better हो जाए, थोड़े और targets achieve हो जाएं, थोड़ी और organization strengthen हो जाए, right? My father stayed in the same job, in the same career for all his life. By God's grace, he is 85 plus and continues to be active academically. He was a university professor. So he did his PhD and he retired and he continues to be in the business of academia. I was a, जो हमारे 4 वर्ण हैं उसमें से मैं एक वैश्य था, यानी I went into the business of mercantile, right? ब्राह्मण और क्षत्रिय और right, and finally Shudras. So I actually was born Brahmin. I worked for 25 years in the business of economy, commerce, and I was perpetually running after these bonuses and these targets and these achievements and these top line, bottom line business. And then I have already changed, and this is what Alvin Toffler had predicted in 1979 when he wrote Future Shock. He said, we are going to witness in our lifetimes era where people will not only be changing jobs. I said I change jobs every 4-5 years, right, as a qualified MBA. But you would also see an era when people may just change their careers. You know what they are talking about to the young leaders out here? The shelf life of your degree is no more than 7 to 8 years. Just as we upgrade our mobile devices and our computers, you guys would be required to upgrade, retrain, reskill, upskill, do whatever it takes, and you will be living a different life. We graduated from an education to a work transition and from work to a retirement transition. You guys are going to live the 100-year life, in which 70 years is going to be the work life. हमारे टाइम में 35 साल की थी, 25 के आसपास खेल शुरू किया, 60 तक बिल्कुल वानप्रस्थ के लिए निकल गए, शांति से बहुत सारे काम हो गए, बच्चे सेटल हो गए, थैंक यू वेरी मच. So welcome to this new world and realize that this world will change everything that we understand about the way we live, love, interact, engage. All right? The fourth one that we are talking about is a concept called diversity, equity, and inclusion, which means no one should be left behind, which means many companies are struggling to understand the weight of this issue, even as lip service wise all of us are today knowing what the right word is to say. So regardless of gender, race, sexual orientation, ability, age, you need to carry everyone along. This is the Mecca of the world. This is the most greatest democracy of the world that you see here. This is the situation of gender diversity in the Mecca of the world. Can you imagine corporate America 2020s? This is the situation in the most advanced capitalist country of the world as far as gender diversity is concerned. So let's wake up and let's understand that if we do not want civil war, if we want this kind of an uncertainty not to affect our lives at a global level, and nothing in the world is any longer decoupled. हम सबके सबकी ज़िंदगी. So 2008 I was in the US And these guys, in New York, we were having meetings, business meetings, and I was very happy. 2008, America was having this recession, and I said, हम तो India, हम तो 8%, 7%, 6% is the growth, and we are completely decoupled. Today, a butterfly literally flutters its wings in Brazil. China में earthquake होता है और अमेरिका की इकोनॉमी गिरती है और इंडिया ठप हो जाता है. So nothing in the world is any longer deconnected, not is coupled, right? So I am taking you guys to the year 2019, and this is 19th July 2019. Tomorrow will be 23rd February 2023. And the top 200 companies of the US, the CEOs, and this includes the cohort of Google, Apple, Facebook, Tim Cook, and Amazon's chief, right? All of these guys. So 100-year-old manifesto of the American purpose of a corporation, which was supposed to be only and exclusively to return value to the shareholders, is changed to include first and foremost customers, suppliers, employees, the environment and communities. Once these four have been done, there is also a value that you must return to the shareholders, which means repurposing of the corporation has become a true reality. And ultimately, as leaders, as CEOs, we need to acknowledge that these 5 commitments build commitment for trust. And this is critical for sustained growth and building not only a productive and satisfied workforce, but guys, just as we today understand the future is digital, the future is also green. जब रहेगा ही नहीं कुछ तो करेंगे क्या? So the big ticket on sustainability, on nature, on hundreds of UN sustainable development goals that we are talking about. So the 5 key drivers that are changing what it means to be a leader in today's world. Predictions, consensus. What are the experts seeing as we get into 2023, right? So experts are reasonably good at predicting, right? They predicted the 2008 recession, the way they did. But whatever it is, not only are they good at predicting the future, they are, we must not forget, also solidly in a position to help shape the future. How? Through their thought leadership and actions. So situations can flare up. We had not known pre-2020 something called a pandemic, and a little virus that you can't even see could screw the happiness and joy of how we live our lives, right? So in terms of a complete knock-on effects or a knockdown effect coming out of a pandemic or coming out of a Ukrainian war, how and why should it affect me living out here in Vastupal in Ahmedabad? I don't understand. But I lost my job, or somebody next to me may lose his job, right? And that's how life has become. So yes, experts are as susceptible as we are to the hype as rest of us. So I believe it is important to understand the context that we as leaders operate in, and this is the context. We have to identify opportunities, we have to look at fueling whatever institution we are looking at, organization, institution, look at that growth. And finally, when I was trying to put this together for today, I thought, let me go to the World Economic Forum and let me figure out, by researching, what are the biggest risks that 3 weeks ago World Economic Forum has pointed out as the top 10 most risks, both on a short term basis, 1 to 2 years, as also on a long term basis, which is a 10 years time frame. Whether it is short term or it is long term, all the risks are categorized into these 5 categories, which is your economic, environmental, etc. 100% of the top 10 global risks in either a short term or a long term fall under the same broad 5 categories, which called out as is economic, environmental, geopolitical, social and technological, which may be mapped to the new rules of leadership that we just discussed, that we just arrived at, right? So can we lead the organization, can we lead the future into a new and uncertain one, is where I rest my case. All yours. Very, very importantly, looking forward to this next interaction that we have. Thank you. मैं इसे बंद कर देता हूं, है ना? आप लोग आ जाएं तो मैं भी बैठूं. Sure, that's why I suggested it. Thank you. Thank you.
If, uh,
Thank you.
Good evening to all. Thank you very much for all the content. Suppose if we start once again history into the back, then as far as Bharatvarsh is was known as Ajnab Varsh, and we have identified suppose Kroshi, then Ajnab, then there is a Sri Rishabhnath. He has considered three radical changes, Ashimashi Krushi. I don't know much detail, but these three factors were included, and then what tribals were considered into a civilized study. That is our scriptures are saying. I think that was one of the factor. And then after industrialization was one of the factor. But at the same time, kingdom has vanished. Democracy has included nature of war. That has also changed. And this Marx kind of thing, this has also impacted. And that is impacting right now also. I think in those scenarios, how further steps can be, 1, 2, 3, any strategies there?
आप प्लीज़ बैठिए. सो वन आई हैव टू एक्नॉलेज. सो हम लोग इसकी भी बात कर रहे थे और इन्होंने शायद बोला भी वहाँ पे मेडिटेशन एंड योगा एक्सपर्ट की मेरी बैकग्राउंड. सो टिल दिस एज व्हेन आई वाज स्टिल वर्किंग इन द कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर आई वाज ब्रीदिंग ईटिंग स्लीपिंग एवरीथिंग कॉर्पोरेट. एंड आई थॉट क्योंकि मैं हिंदी मीडियम में शुरू में पढ़ा था और संस्कृत भी मैंने 12th तक पढ़ी थी. सो आई थॉट दैट you know I knew everything about the Indian culture and मेरे लिए तो मतलब ये westerners के लिए it's a good idea to get you know kind of become faddish about it. और मुझे तो मेरे तो I'm तो born with it, it is in my system. Honestly speaking, what you have said I have not understood, but I know that you are a learned man and that you are referring to something which relates to our spirituality. I don't know if the 3 words that he used you have understood. So I will call for, अगर आप समझ गए हैं तो आप इसका जवाब दें.
Ashimashi Krushi.
हाँ, मुझे इसका मालूम ही नहीं है.
Jain religions, I think.
अच्छा, Jain religions.
Jain religions, but these 3.
हाँ, हाँ.
Predicting this, 3 steps basically.
जी. So can you address his question?
I will be able to address it because it's asking for 1, 2, 3 steps.
See,
which is
we are,
absolutely, each
I
one
want
has
to go to the roots. From there, from tribal to society has formed.
जी.
Then I think at the time of Socrates, it was a conflict between academia and sophist.
जी.
कि एक सब अपने ही मुझे जगत में क्या हो रहा है वो देख रहे थे और दूसरा था कि नहीं, यू लुक एट द नीड ऑफ अ मैन बिकेम सेंटर. वहाँ से एक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चालू हुआ. बाद में इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, then there was a stabilization.
तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैं आपके सवाल को समझ भी पाया हूँ और जवाब भी दे पाऊंगा, बट आई विल क्विकली जस्ट से द फॉलोइंग. आई डू बिलीव दैट देर आर ग्रेटनेस व्हेन यू मेंशन Socrates, and there are greatness that all of us can learn from, both from the Western perspective as also from the Oriental perspective. So the West has been a philosophy which has typically been the exploration of the outside. So Vasco da Gama, Columbus, you know, these guys, they just went out from whatever little places. जैसे सिकंदर, you guys, I went to Greece and I was totally shocked कि जिस जगह से सिकंदर है, पहले तो ग्रीस ही चवन्नी की कंट्री है, इतनी छोटी सी कंट्री है, उसमें मैं तो एथेंस में था. जिस जगह से सिकंदर आता है इज़ अ लिटिल टाउन कॉल्ड डड्डू माजरा, एज फार एज आई एम कंसर्न 400 किलोमीटर्स नॉर्थ ऑफ एथेंस. सच अ स्मॉल टाउन इज़ वेयर दिस गाय कम्स फ्रॉम. तो आजकल पिछले 2-3 साल से HSBC का एड इज ऑल ओवर द प्लेस, इन ऑल एयरपोर्ट्स, इन ऑल दोज आइल्स व्हेन यू कमिंग आउट ऑफ द ambition has no size or something. The size of ambition is the low is the you know sign off that they have, that what the size of an ambition can do. So typically we've associated, let's say, human height with achievement. So if somebody is a great person, if I haven't seen that person, I typically think that this guy will turn out to be a big large guy, and all of a sudden you have these Hitlers and Napoleons and the Alexanders of the world who may not have had those, you know, really 6 feet 4 inches kind of height. So one is that Western perspective where these guys could go out and find and create the kind of worlds that they've created, which is great and magnificent in its own right. And the second is this huge journey within which the Eastern, Oriental, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Buddha, tens of other philosophies that we've got, ke sab kuch andar hi hai. So I think the beauty of it is that in today's world where democratization of opportunity and information is there, we are in a position to benefit from both of these wisdoms and make the most for how we could take it. I know it must not be answering what you are saying. I'm not connected. I will research this topic and kind of.
Miss, immediate answer cannot be expected. There can be more than one answer.
जी, जी,
Otherwise, we will have to wait for
जी, जी, जी.
Tesla's chip.
जी.
हमारे दिमाग को
जी.
ये करे. Thank you.
Yes, please, yeah, Rajiv, Mike.
So first of all, thank you very much, Rajiv sir and Piyush sir, for addressing on this topic beautifully. My question to both of you would be that since India is bouncing back and we are expected to grow tremendously, as a young person, how can we be part of this growth and be able to manage to envision with the help with Modi's dream and grow in our career?
Yes, correct. Good. Very good. Okay, so I benefit from speaking to young leaders all the time, and I'm so happy that some of us are not as fossilized as some of us over here. So thank you very much for being here, and thank you for finding it meaningful and that it did appeal to you. So there are a few things which I think you literally can do, which in our time only used to be esoteric, and that is हमारे टाइम में कोई पिता माता कोई टीचर गुरु अगर बच्चा खुद भी ये बात कर देना कि आई वॉन्ट टू फॉलो माई पैशन क्योंकि मुझे क्रिकेट बहुत पसंद है, बिकॉज एवरी यंग चाइल्ड wants to either be a rock star or be a film star or a cricket star, because that's where name, fame, money, and that's where the entire thing is. But let's say anything which was not standard ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर, डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर, लॉयर, ABC, 4 कैटेगरीज थी, उसके बियॉन्ड लेफ्ट राइट सेंटर कहीं नहीं देखना है, और विस्कर्स लगे हुए थे लाइक हॉर्सेज हमारे को, एंड वी ओनली हैड टू टेक दैट रूट एंड वी नेवर न्यू व्हाट लाइफ इज. सो द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट यू हैव टू एडमायर इज that today you are born into an era where you can literally, what Steve Jobs says, follow your passion. Okay, so truly believe this. It is there. I am myself not an engineer. I am a science graduate. Both my sons have gone on to pursue arts, right? And have, let's say, figured out their way and are still trying to figure out their way. So it's all right. Just take your time. So one is that. I think the second and more important thing is the ability to handle. तो हम जिस एरा में पैदा हुए थे उसमें वी आर यूज्ड टू द आइडिया ऑफ राशन कार्ड्स एंड राशन शॉप्स एंड लिमिटेड शुगर, लिमिटेड आटा, तेल, stoves, and I don't know what all. So we had the big challenge of managing in an age of scarcity. You guys have the big challenge of managing in the age of abundance. You guys are plagued, you guys are handicapped, you guys are so distracted. आपका 4 घंटे तो ये ले जाता है, ये तो सिगरेट से भी बुरा है, ये तो किसी ड्रग की एडिक्शन से बुरा है. आपके पास अपने लिए ही टाइम नहीं है. आप खुद सोचिएगा कि पूरे 20-25 साल में आपने किस वक्त 5 मिनट भी अपने साथ, सिर्फ अपने साथ टाइम व्यतीत करके देखा. इस पे हम कहते हैं ना, इस लाइन की सभी लाइनें व्यस्त हैं. खुद को कभी फ़ोन मिला के देखिए, सभी लाइनें व्यस्त मिलेंगी हमेशा. सो आई थिंक इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू बी एबल टू स्पेंड टाइम विद योर सेल्फ इन फिगरिंग आउट वॉट आई जस्ट सेड. दिस सो कॉल्ड, सो माई यंगर सन, फॉलो योर पैशन वाला एक धुन तो बहुत अच्छी है, वो पैशन क्या है उसे ढूंढने में आधी अगर ज़िंदगी गुजार दोगे तो कुछ तो पकड़ना पड़ेगा ना, नहीं तो फिर कुछ चीज़ें निकल जाती हैं लाइफ से. सो यू हैव टू, अब हमने, it's like arranged marriage, that we got it and we fell in love with it. So the jobs that we did, we finally ended up loving those jobs and it became our life, and life therefore was simple. आपके केस में मैं देखता हूँ हर 6 महीने में you guys are jumping. You know, ये चलेगा नहीं यार, this is not for me. I am basically, मेरा भी time आएगा, and you know, so that you will have to take a call. It is very important as leaders at some point in time. Information, there is no dearth of or the end gate to information. You can still acquire more information, but you will have to do an optimum trade-off between speed and accuracy of information. So collect as much as you can, benefit from the advice of as much advisors, as many as you have, but finally make a choice, commit yourself to that choice for at least a couple of years before moving on, क्योंकि आप लोगों की life में every 5 to 7 years as it is career shifts are going to be common. So don't worry. हम लोगों ने तो जिससे शादी की, जिस प्रोफेशन से शादी की, डिवोर्स हो ही नहीं सकता था, ना बीवी से ना प्रोफेशन से, सिस्टम ही अलाउ नहीं करता था, तबू था, तो सैडल्ड हैं, बट यू गाइज आर नॉट. सो बहुत क्विकली ऑफ द कफ बोल रहा हूँ, आप सर अगर कुछ ऐड करना चाहें.
No, you're right. We are into industries and businesses. Yes, I would like to tell that I'm a first generation entrepreneur, and today my 42nd venture is most successful. So I have tried so many things. Started, closed, but never defaulted or never did any unethical thing. But then I really realized that no, this is not good for me, or this is not going to have a future. So these are two things. Where there is a future, yes, I will go for it. I would like to continue it for longer time, yes, I would like to go for it. Third, it is going to make enough money, or I'm going to spend a lot of time, and against time the value of money is going to be low. So this comparison is constant. So, then I have multiple business groups at the moment, basically 10, 12 business verticals which are running professionally well. But the last one which I picked up is very interesting to me. I mean, smallest child is always loveliest to you,
पर ये जो दो बहुत ही important points राजीव भाई ने बोले हैं, एक तो once again the mecca of the world, America, right? 3 out of 4, 75% of the ventures go on to fail. In India, that ratio and around the world is 9 out of 10. 90% of ventures go out to fail. But do you know the contribution of this entrepreneur? So typically we identify the entrepreneurs as the Bansals and ye Razorpay and XYZ's Flipkarts of the world. But do you guys know that the person who sells on a खोचा outside, यही वाली जो पंजरापोल की रोड है, अभी फ्राइडे सैटरडे संडे की शाम को यहाँ 100 लगेंगे, these all guys are true entrepreneurs. If you wish to learn about entrepreneurship, look at them. So one, hats off to him and to his 42 ventures and to what he on the stage admits, and which is the truth, that is fail. But failure is only an insight into a correction that you need to undertake. Unfortunately, we have stigmatized failure. हमारे यहाँ पे ये है कि मतलब कहीं पे हाथ लगाना है तो तू तो मेरा बेटा है और भारत देश की औलाद है, और तू तो, हम रेस ऐसी में डाल दिए गए हैं, रैट रेस, दैट देयर इज नो ऑप्शन. देयर आर ऑप्शंस. ट्राई एंड देन मूव ऑन, टेक द नेक्स्ट शॉट. यू फेल ऑल द शॉट्स दैट यू डू नॉट टेक, राइट? सो यू हैव टू टेक योर शॉट्स. ठीक है, नहीं लगेंगे कई, और ऐसा इनका केस है, धीरू भाई अंबानी का केस है. 14 वेंचर्स ही वाज अ पार्ट ऑफ बिफोर ही हिट गोल्ड, right? So umpteen number of, and such a successful person sitting right amongst us today. It's great that he's here. And second thing जो इन्होंने हल्का सा hint किया, I don't know if at your age you can quickly connect, but yes, ethics, that is a third thing that we must all pay attention to. Do the right thing, do not look at the wrong thing. कुछ भी नजर आए आपको, do the right thing. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, sir. Is it working? Good evening, sir. Actually, I heard your program right now, and I heard one word which you have, I focused on it, the word civil war, which you have used, and the topic is also of the uncertainty.
जी.
So ये चीज़ मैं खास कहना चाहूँगा, हमने अगर पढ़ाई की है तो सीरिया में देखा है 2014 में, बिकॉज ऑफ लॉट्स ऑफ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट. अभी आपने बोला ब्राज़ील की बात की, रिसेंटली ओनली यू टॉक्ड अबाउट ब्राज़ील. आई थिंक सो इंडिया में भी ये सिचुएशंस इन फ्यूचर दिख सकती है. तो आपके हिसाब से आपको लग रहा है कोई ऐसा प्रोग्राम हो जिससे हम रन करना चाहिए और वी कैन स्टॉप बाढ़ आने से पहले ही हमको उसको स्टॉप करना चाहिए, उसके हिसाब से सिविल वॉर के कंसर्न में कुछ ऐसी कोई आपकी राय हो कि ऐसे करेंगे तो इंडिया बच सकता है उस चीज़ के करस्पॉन्डिंगली?
जी
तो इसके बारे में मैं थोड़ा कुछ फोकस
जी,
करना चाहूँगा।
देर इज़ अ ब्यूटिफुल बुक कॉल्ड अ ब्रीफ हिस्ट्री ऑफ इनइक्वालिटी, और ये इनइक्वालिटी जो है ये इतनी ज़्यादा ग्लेयरिंग होती जा रही है क्योंकि कंजम्पशन spreads very fast today. So electricity took something like 100 odd years to become ubiquitous. In the case of Microsoft Windows, it was 25 years when they reached 1 billion customers. In the case of Hotstar, it took them 6 months to reach 50 million customers. चैट जीपीटी को मात्र 6 दिन लगे अपने फर्स्ट 1 मिलियन कस्टमर्स पहुंचने के लिए। तो जो वरी है वो ये है कि मैं उस घोड़े पे चढ़ के मैंने अपनी शादी की थी जब मोबाइल फ़ोन नहीं था। आज मेरे बच्चे की आंख नहीं खुलती और आंख नहीं बंद होती सुबह से रात तक जब तक मोबाइल फ़ोन पे वो पता नहीं 3600 बार क्या क्या नहीं कर लेते और कौन सा उनका वर्ल्ड है। तो और मैं भी नहीं रह सकता इसके बिना, इस डिवाइस के बिना आज हम में से कोई भी नहीं रह सकता, फॉर गुड रीजंस फॉर बैड रीजंस। तो वर्ल्ड इतनी पेस पे बदल रहा है और इतना तो हमारी एज अ स्पीशीज़ हम इस काम के लिए नहीं बने थे, हम इन चेयर्स पे बैठने के लिए नहीं बने थे। अगर हम 200,000 ईयर से अराउंड हैं तो 50 साल 100 साल 500 साल से इस नेचर के काम शुरू हो गए जहां हम चेयर पे बैठ के 10-12 घंटे दिन में निकालते हैं, पर हमारा जो ट्रू जिससे हम इवॉल्व हुए हैं डार्विनियन मेथड से, उसके दौरान में हम जाके घूम के चल के दौड़ के जंप करके जीना सपोज थे। ये जो नया ह्यूमन बीइंग के अंदर चेंज आ रहा है और जो एक इतनी बड़ी इनइक्वालिटी है कि 5 स्टार होटल के बाहर स्लम है, मेरा घर की बाउंड्री बिल्कुल करोड़ों की है और घर के बाहर खोचे वाला है। ये इनइक्वालिटी कुड पॉसिबली लीड टू, बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट द हिस्ट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड हैज। टू दैट एक्सटेंट आई डिड से इट. Whether we should have programs, yes, we have programs. The governments around the world acknowledge it. There are scientists, researchers, academicians, experts, influencers, leaders talking about this inequality. In fact, the biggest thing is, while on the one hand, so you would like to believe, and this is a test which I run in all my workshops around the world. बहुत quickly पूछ लेता हूँ, आप ही से पूछ रहा हूँ अभी इस वक्त पे क्योंकि अब टाइम भी होता जा रहा है। Do you think we are living in a better world than our fathers, forefathers, 200 साल पहले, great grandfathers? Do you think so?
We are living in better world.
You think so?
Yes, we are living in better world. But in the case of socialism, we are backward. In the case of socialism.
आप बहुत अच्छी बात बोले, पर अगर यही सवाल मैं टू अ मैन ऑन द स्ट्रीट बोलूँगा ना, आप पढ़े लिखे हैं, हम यहाँ पर बात कर पा रहे हैं, तो मुझे पता है कि यू आर कमिंग फ्रॉम अ पोजीशन वे यू आर ऑलरेडी एन एजुकेटेड पर्सन हु नोज. So you are right. The correct answer is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals on all the 17 parameters tell us कि extent of poverty in the world, democracy in the world, infant mortality, A, B, C, D, pollution वगैरह 17 की 17 चीज़ों पे we are far better than even what the emperors and the royalty had some 200 years ago, right? Even a common man. लेकिन कॉमन मैन ऑन द स्ट्रीट पे जब आप पूछेंगे तो कहेंगे भट्टा बैठ चुका है, ये कैसा ज़माना आ गया। देखिए 2 साल पहले कैसी बीमारी आई थी, लोग मेरे लेफ्ट राइट पे इस तरह से गिर रहे थे, मर रहे थे, प्रलय आ रही है और कलयुग आ गया है और दुनिया ख़त्म होने जा रही है। तो ये हमें मीडिया की भी एक चीज़ समझनी ज़रूरी है कि कई बार हम लोग जो आँख के सामने आ रहा है या जो बहुत इमीडिएट हो रहा है उससे हम बहुत ज़्यादा प्रभावित हो जाते हैं। तो सिविल वॉर at least in the context of India is not something that I see happening, because this century truly belongs to us, right? And I do see a very bright future for India, and I know that through an overall effect, most of us Indians, and we have a very long way to go. At $2,000 is what, $1,500 to $2,000 GDP individual पे, जबकि developed countries of the world are talking about sitting at a 50,000, and China जैसी large country भी 30,000 पे है। तो मेरी ऐसी धारणा है कि कॉमन लेवल पे भी ज़्यादातर ये इनइक्वालिटी रिलेटिवली स्पीकिंग कम होती जाएगी, स्पेशली विद द इफेक्ट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी। या
सर आपने जो बोला वो बात बिल्कुल सही है कि इंडिया की सेंचुरीज है ये, पर ये सिविल वॉर नॉट द पीपल ऑफ इनर आर डूइंग, द आउटसोर्सेस आर ऑल्सो वर्किंग ओवर देयर, नॉट ओनली द थिंग्स दैट नेशंस। हमारा जो संस्कृति है, हमारा कल्चर है, वो तो बहुत शांत और वैसा है, but when we consider about the civil wars, then most of the other factors are also working, and जो बाहर की sources, other nations are also being the part of these things, that we have already seen in 2014 to 2018, इन द केस ऑफ सीरिया ऑल्सो हम वो देख पाते हैं। तो उसके हिसाब से मैं थोड़ा बोलना चाहूँगा कि भले लगता है हमको कि भाई इंडिया के चांस, लेकिन जैसे इंडिया ग्रो करने का एक बॉम्ब फूटने का वो प्रोबेबिलिटी ज़्यादा बन जाता है उसका।
आप बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं। मे आई सजेस्ट द फॉलोइंग,
Yes.
आपके लिए भी ये सब्जेक्ट बहुत प्रिय है और मुझे भी बहुत मजा आ रहा है, बट वी कैन कनेक्ट ऑफलाइन इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ
It's okay.
टाइम
It's
इफ
okay.
देयर
It's
आर, या
इट्स ओके।
है ना, मैं बहुत आई विल बी
थैंक यू सो
हैप्पी
वेरी
टू
मच,
स्पेंड टाइम विद
थैंक यू सो वेरी मच।
थैंक यू।
Just 2 minutes to express gratitude to both our distinguished speakers. Piyush bhai, that was really crisp. You could really, first of all, yes, a big. You could present a very interesting topic of uncertainty, and you started right from the evolution of man and right to the current scenario. A the whole span was presented very in a short period of time, so I must compliment you for that, and also sharing your personal experiences, and it was really a great take home for all of us, which resulted into good participation. And yes, there are insights, we have rekindled a lot of thoughts, especially amongst the youngsters. And yes, I will just add to what Piyush bhai and Rajiv bhai said about the careers, that yes, we grew up in an economy of shortages, so there were challenges. There was a time where India, when I saw 50 years ago, the taxation, you will not believe, was 97%. So all the people wanted to do two shortcuts, unethical practices, वो चोर नहीं थे, लेकिन ये सिस्टम से कंटाल गए थे कि मैं मेहनत करता हूँ और 90% दे दूँ. So these were the thoughts in that generation which led to a lot of shortcuts or whatever you call unethical practice. Today you are in abundance. Please follow the lands of, not only the land of the law, but all the ethics that you have learned from your teachers, from your parents, and don't do any shortcuts. You have got tremendous opportunities. So all the best to all of you, and keep coming to ABA programs. Rajiv bhai, thank you for your insights about IMA and also sharing your all experiences. Wish you a very good evening, friends. Thank you.